Hi friends, it's your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about the pricing of a physical Dungeons & Dragons current Dungeons & Dragons source book. So Dragon Delve just dropped. It is $50, okay? And that's interesting because I think it's double the amount it actually has to be, right? So, and the reason why I believe this is it's current. You can go to any Barnes and Noble in the country right now, and you can pull the 2024 core rule book PHB off the shelf, and that book costs $50, right? But then you can go over and you can find the Game Master's Guide to Dragons, the Game Master's Guide to Random Encounters, the Game Master's Guide to World Building. I've actually reviewed quite a few of these books right here on my channel, and they cost $25, right? They are the same length and they are the same quality as what Hasbro is doing, right? So why is Hasbro pricing their physical core books at double what they need to be priced at? It's interesting, right? So here's my thought, okay? I've been listening to Adam Savage, and he was on Mythbusters, and he has his own channel now, and he tells a lot of stories about the old days, right? About his Mythbuster days. And he was talking about how him and the other guy, I don't even remember his name. Not because he was very good. I just, like, right now I'm listening to Adam Savage. The other guy doesn't have a channel I'm listening to, so he was very good. I liked him as well. I liked both of them, and I liked Mythbusters. I didn't watch a ton of it, but I love the concept and I love what they were doing. But Adam talked about that not only were they shooting the show, but on weekends, they were working 7 days a week. They were working 5 days a week on the show. And then on weekends, they would get hired out. They would come for a weekend and they would do a convention, or they would do some kind of institutional talk, or they would visit some company, and they would work all weekend, right? And they were making bank. They're getting paid thousands and thousands of dollars, right? But then they got to the point where the show was successful and they just kept cranking them out, but they were still doing this weekend stuff. And the reason why was they were building their millions, right? You know, they were doing the thing. But what really got interesting was they said they reached a point where they were like, we're doing too much. We can't, keep doing this, right? And so their agent was like, well, we'll take up the price, right? And they're like, no, you're not getting it. We don't want to do this anymore. And he's like, no, listen, if we take up the price, it will push people off from hiring you, right? And they're like, well, we want to charge a fair rate. And he's like, it's not about a fair rate, right? And this was really fascinating, right? Adam Savage said that him and the other guy decided to do this, right? And they said that they ended up making the same amount of money, but working a half or a third as many jobs, right? So they were still making bank, but now they had weekends on their own, right? And Adam Savage said something brilliant. He said, it's not about what the market will bear, it's about what you can take, right? And he was saying that they couldn't take doing these jobs all the time. They had an ulterior, and they were charging 2 or 3 times the value for the same product, right? Because they didn't care what the market would bear. They cared about what they could do, right? And this is what I believe is happening with Dungeons & Dragons. There is an ulterior motive. And it's not the stupid one, oh, they're a corporation, Scott, they just want to make money. Blah, blah, blah. Next, kick over to Dungeon Dudes. If you believe that, you stop thinking. That's not the reason. There is a reason. What could that reason be? I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. I'm still thinking. I think it's to keep. I think Hasbro is artificially keeping the buyers of Dungeons & Dragons what they want the Dungeons & Dragons slice of humanity to be. And right now, the only people buying Dungeons & Dragons are the most charismatic, confident, intelligent people in the world. And I think that the higher price point is helping that. And if the price point went down, we might get some blue-collar people. We might get people who are terrible socially. We might get people who are less intelligent. We might get people who are not confident. And I think that actually would be good, right? But Would it be good for the brand, right? And I think that's an interesting question. I think that the $50 price point has a purpose. I think the reason I just said is the purpose. I'm not super happy about it. I really wish Muggles would come to Dungeons and Dragons, and if the books were $25 a piece, I think that would help. But I think it may be to keep the slice of people who are buying Dungeons and Dragons, this slice that Hasbro likes, the most charismatic, confident, intelligent people in the world. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.